Right. The fears are that the Freedom Caucus could go the way of the Tea Party and lose its impact and power and even respect. Mark Meckler, a Tea Party leader, is disgusted by that kind of talk, and more so disgusted by the way President Trump has been characterizing the caucus and some of those members who voted against that health care measure, or were apt to do that. Mark, good to have you back.
Good to be with you, Neil.
What is your beef, first off, with the president targeting this group, that is the Freedom Caucus, for its tough stance against this health care repeal and replace effort?
Well, look, it's an incredible transition, Neil. He's gone from the guy who said he was going to D.C. to drain the swamp. Freedom Caucus are drain the swamp kind of guys. Now it looks like we got the creature from the Black Lagoon in the White House, because now he's talking about no repeal, breaking his promises. I mean, his promise was repeal, repeal, repeal. It was not Obamacare light. So, yeah, I'm disgusted. He's going against the wrong people. He should be going against the moderates and the leadership, not the Freedom Caucus.
What he's saying, though, is that this was better, the measure that they were shooting down, than the one that it was replacing, and that it wasn't perfect, but it was most of what they wanted. It was going to cancel Obamacare and the insurance exchanges. It was going to cancel a lot of the tax cuts that went with them. It was going to remove the individual employer mandate. So most of what they wanted was in there. What do you say?
Well, the reality is, look, there is no conservative group in America that agrees with what you just said or what the president said. Everybody says it's a worse deal. It's going to be a disaster. It increased the death spiral on the insurance exchanges. Ultimately, what's going to happen is the system is going to crash, and the Republicans would be to blame. That's not what we're looking for. We're looking for a president who keeps his promises.
Okay, I'm just wondering whether this relationship can be saved, because whatever people think of the Freedom Caucus and all of that, they did stand by the president. I distinctly remember this after the release of that tape, and we're one of the few groups to stand by the president. And they say he's, I think this Justin of Michigan was reminding the president, you forgot that, and don't forget your friends. Is that real anger at the president there?
I don't know whether it's anger. It's certainly frustration, and I do think he's forgetting his friends. Suddenly, he's standing with the swamp creatures instead of those that are there to help him drain the swamp. The biggest mistake he's making, Neil, is he's separating himself from the base. I mean, what I know is what the grassroots think, and what I can tell you is they're furious with the president over this. They don't like him attacking the Freedom Caucus. The Freedom Caucus speaks for most of us in the base out there. Separating himself from that is damaging Trump's brand.
But the president and his people come back, Mark, and say, don't forget your hero, Ronald Reagan, who famously said better to get 80% of the loaf than no loaf at all. I'm paraphrasing, but to make the point, even Ronald Reagan compromised on these issues. What do you say?
Important to remember that even the great conservative icon Ronald Reagan grew the federal government under his watch. People are sick and tired of that. Back at that time, we had roughly $1.7 trillion in debt. Today, we're at $20 trillion. It's going to take, frankly, more than what Ronald Reagan did, because we can't afford to continue growing the federal government.
So what is really going on here? I mean, let's say they work on this health care effort, another chance out. I think, Mark, they're going to go down in flames on that. Should they then focus on the one thing they find much broader-based agreement on, tax cuts, and chalk up a victory for both sides, so for the caucus side, Republicans in general, by wider extent the president? What do you think?
Well, in my opinion, it should be a very simple two-step process. They ought to go forward. They ought to vote on Representative Mo Brooks' proposal, which is a one-sentence repeal of Obamacare. If it goes down in flames, that's great, because it gives us, the grassroots, a targeting list. Whoever votes against it should get nailed in the primaries and will get nailed in the primaries. And then they should move on to tax reform. Not just tax decreases, but real reform, which is what the president's promise was during the election.
All right. Now, there's already talk that the president has intimated at getting primary challenges to those who voted or were inclined to vote against this. What do you think of that?
My answer is good luck. If you're going to challenge your own base, I would say bring it on. The Tea Party delivered the House of Representatives in 2010, the Senate, and frankly, ultimately, the presidency. This is an insurgency, an uprising, was not created by President Trump. He rode that wave. He helped to increase that wave, but he can easily turn that wave against him. And I would say bring those challenges on, because the people will stand against him on those challenges.
Mark Meckler, thank you. Good seeing you again.